Hi, my name is Oliver Keller, and I work for the Florida State Collection of Arthropods in Gainesville, Florida. And today I'm going to talk to you about the firefly genus Cheguevaria and the last 15 years or so of research on it. And I want to thank the Coleoptera Society for organizing this symposium and for inviting me. So this is basically the first drawing of a species of Cheguevaria from Kazantsev 2007. And you can see when you look at that, you wouldn't ever think that this is a firefly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Cheguevaria timeline of research. And so it started in 2007 when Kazantsev described Cheguevaria with two species, one from Puerto Rico and one from the Dominican Republic. And then in 2008, he described one more species, again from Puerto Rico. So we had a total of 3 species. And between 2008 and 2019, there was basically, everyone was just wondering, were they really fireflies or did they belong somewhere else, like maybe Phengodids or so? And so basically only Zhang in 2008 in his dissertation from University of Kansas was talking about them, and he did a morphological analysis and placed them within fireflies next to Magniculus. And then in 2019, Ferreira et al., so Vinicius, Ferreira, and I and our 2 supervisors, we had some fresh specimens that Vinicius and Erich Spiesberger collected in Puerto Rico. And we, for the first time, were able to place them into a phylogeny using molecular data. And then for the future now, we're working on another manuscript about Cheguevaria to expand the knowledge of Cheguevaria. And then also we're going to, for the first time, actually have species from Cuba. So Kazantsev in 2007 wrote this paper, The New Firefly Taxa from Hispaniola and Puerto Rico, with notes on biogeography. And in this paper, he described the tribe Cheguevariinae and the genus Cheguevaria, and placed the 2 species Cheguevaria taino and Cheguevaria angusta into the genus. Taino is from Puerto Rico and angusta is from Dominican Republic. He, in his description, was talking that there were similarities with Phengodids, especially in the morphology of the head. With the big mandibles and stuff, but then the antennae did not really look anything like Phengodids because they are not biramous or ramous. But he found that there's a large and widened tergite 8 receiving the sternets 8 and 9, and that character kind of placed it into Lampyridae. And he speculated that Cheguevaria would be a basal lineage with Lampyridae, and that it might be its own subfamily if someone actually would include it into a morphology or molecular phylogeny and test this. But as he mentioned, until then, really any kind of higher level analyses of the family were lacking. So he decided to place it into Incertocetus in the Lampyridae. In 2008, then, in this paper, The New Fireflies from Puerto Rico, he described a few new species, one of which was Cheguevaria montana from Puerto Rico. And he, for the first time, then also showed the genitalia of this. So we had 3 species by 2008 now in this genus. And besides, I think, these drawings, no one had actually seen a specimen, or no one at least had talked about this. So Zhang in 2008, in his dissertation at the University of Kansas, did a comprehensive phylogenetics, systematics, and evolution of neoteny of Lampyridae. And in his analysis, Cheguevaria kind of clustered with Magniculus McDermott, which, when you look at these specimens on the slide here, those are all Magniculus specimens from a paper by Constantine in 2011. They kind of do not look the same. And based on the similarities, of the fangoted head, I think that's where they why they fell together, but they're really, when you look at the head morphology, it's not really the same. And also when you look, the antennae are very different. These have like these very fan-like antennae, while Cheguevaria has serrate antennae. So it was very interesting, the placement of Cheguevaria sister to Magniculus. And Zheng also said that because they only had one Magniculus and one Cheguevaria, that there needs to be more research done. And so for me, really, myself, the research started in 2016, I'm sorry, when I took a trip to Montana State University to visit Mike Ivie and sort fireflies from the Smithsonian collection and also his own West Indies collections. And that's when I found this specimen in his collection, actually. So we actually had a specimen of Cheguevaria, and this might have been the first specimen that anybody in the New World besides Kazantsev had actually seen. And then because of this, we decided to work on this and actually figure out what's going on. And then Vinicius and Erich Spiesberger went to Puerto Rico, and they placed traps in El Yunque, and they've got a dozen or so molecular grade specimens that we used in the study. We used the data set by Martin et al. 2017. We had about 3,500 base pairs for 71 taxa. And we found that Cheguevaria actually was placed in the fireflies, and we elevated the status to its own subfamily as Kazantsev had suggested. And Cheguevaria in this data set fell out to sister to all photorines and lampyrides. Current research on Cheguevaria, when you look at these pictures, how many species do you guys think there are? These are all specimens that were collected in Puerto Rico by either Vinicius or Martin Fikacek. And turns out there are 2 species on this picture, CH01, and all the other ones are their own species. So we had more material, available. We have been discussing this the number of species for a couple of years now, and Vinicius made new sequences for molecular grade material. We did an integer neighbor joining haplotype network, and it showed clearly that CH02 to CH12 were all the same species, which is Cheguevaria montana. And you can see here that there are very few mutations going on between all those specimens, and that there are very clearly defined 3 species in the genus. This is a picture that we are using for the new publication coming soon, and we're going to describe these guys in more detail than before. These are plates that Vinicius made for the upcoming manuscript, and you can see we have now 5 species, the 3 that were described by Kazantsev being A, B, and C. And then we have on the bottom D and E. Those are actually 2 species from Cuba. So Cheguevaria actually occurs on Cuba now. And with that, I would like to thank Vinicius and Michael for their support and for doing this project with me. Vinicius is doing a great job in making all these fantastic descriptions and plates. Also would like to thank Erich Spiesberger and Martin Fikacek, who collected molecular grade material of Cheguevaria on Puerto Rico and shared it with us. And then also the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, where I work, for letting me do this research. And if you have any questions, please contact me at Dr. Firefly on Twitter. And with that, I will take any questions you have.